so you did a course this weekend here at Braziers called Winter Herbal Remedies.
That's
Can you
right.
tell me a bit about what you did?
Right from the beginning, the facilitator, Rashika, who's a medical herbalist, she's a herbalist practitioner, she was trying to, I feel that she was trying to connect us with the nature that's around us and how we can utilise that as part of our healing. So she gave us a lot of information about the plants and that we could use, plants, leaves. She directed us to places where we could get the different plants in their dried form. For example, this place in London called Baldwin's. But she also gave us information. We walked around the garden together. We had a shared experience of seeing what there is here at Braziers that we could tap into. For example, we took rosemary from the garden. What else? We took lavender. And then we tried to use those in the practical elements of the course that she gave us the opportunity to be involved in.
Mm-hmm. So the practical elements like making things.
Yeah, I mean the practical side of it was, like I say, walking around the garden
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what herbs there were there, and it was really good to the other people on the course seemed to know so much. There was a lot of information, a lot of sharing of knowledge, and that was really nice. Yeah, both in terms of the plants and what other courses people have been on. But the practical side of it was she gave us so much opportunity to make things together. So what did we do? First of all, we did a fire cider tonic, which is good for the immune system, and we were there chopping up the ginger, chopping up the pepper, chopping up the garlic, and she went through the properties of those different elements of the fire tonic, and helped us to understand what their how they could heal people and how they would be interacting together, which I suppose is symbolic because part of the course was to come together and interact in this way. It was a very shared experience, which was great.
Yeah, so I guess that helped a lot in the whole learning process. So it would have been a completely different experience had you done this course alone, like with one.
Yeah, well, let's say, for example, you did it online, you were at home doing it. Yeah, it could still be a beneficial experience, but there was something that felt very nurturing as well about being together with this group of people. It was a very calm environment. Rashika seemed a very calm and grounded person, and she set the right tone and ambience for us to be there and be together. So there was the fire cider immune tonic, which is very active participating session. But then we did something that was a tea tasting, and the experience was we sat there for a few minutes, just like calming ourselves, and then she gave us the tea, which we didn't know what it was, so it was a mystery. It was a mystery taste testing experience. And she gave us this human form on paper and then asked us to see how we connected with the plants that we were tasting. So what was the smell? A bit tricky for me. The taste, the sensation as we were tasting it and it was going down the body. And that was about 10 minutes of individual quiet time. But then we came together and we shared our experiences and how we had responded to the sensations of the tea tasting. And that was good because that was like, oh, well, I felt this. Oh, but I didn't, and I experienced this. So, oh, yeah, but mine was different.
And were there any things that people said that then you realised, oh, yeah, I had that experience too?
Yeah, for example, some of us had this like tingling in our mind. Yeah, probably that as well. Tingling of the crown. And we had like the tingling of the mouth, and then there was a numbing sensation, whereas other people didn't have that. Some people had a strong bitter taste, or is it acrid taste. And then after we'd done that, she said, oh, well, this is it. And none of us had that tea before. So that was a nice. So it was just to give you an idea of the different experiences of sharing. Some that were very active and that we were chatting about things, but that experience was just on quieter time.
Do you feel like you've gone away from it feeling maybe more able to just go out in the garden and experiment?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it inspired me to get in touch more with nature in the sense of actually going out there and picking what you can find and being more mindful of what you can use it for. I mean, I don't take paracetamol or anything like that. But for colds, for example, rather than reaching for the nearest Lemsip, actually I can use this to make an inhalant or a chest rub to help heal as a decongestion. But then the good thing about it as well is that you had ideas that you could share with other people, whether it be just passing those remedies on or giving them as a gift to someone, which is really nice.
Which maybe helps us to become a bit more independent from going out and buying things in shops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there was I found it really useful to know what else is out there in terms of activity in relation to herbal medicine. So Rashika told me about the connections that she has, and I can't remember the name of the group who goes out, but they work alongside a food bank, and they go out onto the streets of Bethnal Green and they take out the remedies, whether it be coughs, colds, things like that, warming people up for people who are living on the street. And they talk to people about how they can use them. They give them knowledge about where they can go and find things on the city streets.
That's really great. I mean, in that context of vulnerable people who don't have resources or so many means, then to be empowered in that way, right? It's really.
I mean, arguably, knowledge is power, right? So the more that we can share. And then we decide what we want to do with it. But the more information that we can share, the better. And to actually getting out there onto the streets and connecting with people who are so vulnerable, I just thought it was fantastic. It was amazing.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then they taught some people had information to share about herbalists without borders. So working with people who are refugees, and working with herbs in relation to them at the refugee camps, for example. And it's just a wealth of people out there who are trying to make a difference. And when you have these experiences, these courses, you might go away and not be able to remember what the herb is for. But if you have something else that's inspired you or just triggered something in your mind to think, oh, well, actually, that's out there. Or maybe there's somebody who might want to start that up with myself, or you just try and start it yourself,
And just knowing from the first bit, even if you don't remember exactly, say, what to pick or how to make something, then you know that it's a possibility, so then you can look it up yourself again. Right? Big implications then.
Yeah. There is the wider implication. There are the wider implications, aren't there? Of it starting somewhere in a room with 8 people, and how far that can go.
So who would you recommend a course like this to?
Well, anyone really. I'd say just give it a try. Go, and because we're quite conditioned, aren't we, into relying solely on pharmaceuticals. And there might be people who I say this, I'm just talking about what happened at Braziers, what I got involved in, etc. Oh, well, I did this winter herbal course. Oh, what's all that about? Surely that doesn't work. Well, just go and give it a try.
So then, thinking about wider issues, I mean, you've talked a lot about the people that have been benefited from these projects and empowered by them. So yeah, my question was, what kind of implications can it have on its participants and then their role in society? But I think you've answered those. Yeah. So what about you? What have you taken away from the course? Anything practical?
Oh, I've taken away that I would really like to improve my sense of smell.
How's that going?
It's inspired me to, for example, I found out about a remedy with sage. There's so much sage in the garden. So I've been out there. This course also, just to digress slightly, but I've been trying to go out into the garden more regularly and re-identify the plants to remind myself. And Rashika did recommend that instead of just going through all the herbs that you can find, just pick a couple that you'd like to work with, that you'd like to get in, you'd like to connect more with, and then see how that evolves. So I've been trying to connect with sage, and using that as an infusion in a tea, because she gave us information, she shared her knowledge about the difference between infusion and decocting. Who knew? So that's been really nice. So yeah, working with sage, having that as an infusion, an infused tea, at least once a day, let it boil for 10 minutes. Let it sit in boiling water for 10 minutes and then drink it, and just see if this can have some impact on blocking whatever's there. But then it's also inspired me to, have a little look at what else is out there for anosmia, which is what this reduced or blunted sense of smell condition is called. And it feels good. And you know what? Don't get too attached to if it comes back or not, but just give it a try.
Oh well, I hope that it does help.
Thank
in
you.
That way. And well, just one thing. Just go back to my question before, because I was thinking about how this was so much related, all about nature, right, and what nature can give us, and connecting us to nature, like you talked about that. So that, I guess, can have, the more we connect to nature and see and feel, we kind of develop more respect for it. So that also has big, could help a lot. Could help this planet a lot, and this society a lot. Being brought closer to nature and not wanting to, and through that, not wanting to, or wanting to protect and care for it more.
Well, Hugh, when we were at the Soul Talk, I think Hugh brought up the question of trust, the idea of trust, and how that helps us to connect with people once we feel that perhaps we have that. Some people feel that it's necessary to trust someone before they open up. But with this experience, it's the same with nature. Trust it. Have faith that it can heal. You can work together rather than working against it. And we tend to be quite destructive towards nature a lot of the time. In some cultures, not all. And it's time to trust again, and it's time to reconnect and re-establish those bonds and have faith that the earth can heal us. And in return, it's time that we healed the earth.
Yeah, for sure. Good words to end with. Thank you, Karen. Any more things?
No, thank you.